National Day of Celebration. He attended a wreath-laying ceremony on the annual Defender of the Fatherland Day. But as the Kremlin was hit with a fresh wave of sanctions from the UK and US, Putin reaffirmed that Russia's interests remained non-negotiable. And during a call with Turkey's president, he doubled down on his rhetoric, accusing Ukraine of breaking the Minsk agreements. Nevertheless, despite increasing uncertainty, the Kremlin insists it is still prepared for frank discussions with the West.
Our country is always open to a direct and honest dialogue and ready to search for diplomatic solutions to the most complicated issues. But I want to repeat that Russia's interests and the security of our people are an indisputable priority. So we will continue to strengthen and modernise our army and navy, striving to increase their effectiveness so they are fitted out with the most cutting-edge equipment.
Our correspondent Galina Polanskaya is near Russia's border with Ukraine. Now, she told us that the nationalist rhetoric coming out of Moscow doesn't reflect a desire for diplomacy. Take a look.
Well, it was the address of Vladimir Putin to the nation. It was a celebration in Russia, the Day of the Defender of the Fatherhood. So the message is not about the dialogue. I guess it's the dialogue on Russia's conditions and mostly about the defending of the fatherland. That's the message to the nation and to the West. But what we see in reality is that the meeting between Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, is cancelled. He cancelled it. He was supposed to meet with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov tomorrow. They were supposed to discuss a potential meeting between presidents of Russia and the United States, which is not on the table anymore. There is no dialogue. Russia is withdrawing its diplomats from all of its missions in Ukraine, and we've heard that Vladimir Putin spoke with President Erdogan, and President Erdogan said that Turkey will not tolerate any moves against Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And Vladimir Putin said that what he did, it was because of Ukrainian aggression in Donbass. So the strategy is very, very clear now, and I don't see any options for the dialogue with the West at this particular moment.
Now, Galina, you've been speaking to locals on the ground, and they seem to support Putin's actions. So what have they been telling you?
Well, yes, I went to a town which is located on the border with the Lugansk self-proclaimed separatist republic. The name of the town is Donetsk, but it's the Russian town. And I spoke with the citizens who helped a lot, those evacuees who were going through the border point. They fed them and they helped them go in and finding a shelter. So I asked all of those people what they thought about the decision of Vladimir Putin to recognize those republics. And I was surprised that no one even doubts this decision. Everyone thinks that it's good. Let's take a listen of some of their answers.
We
don't know what's going to happen, whether we will stay alive or not. So we don't want war. We don't need war. I think that Putin made the right decision, that now people will be protected. I don't think there will be a war like right now, with the endless shelling. These poor people, they've been experiencing this for 8 years.
There was a recent poll released by the state post, the Russian state post of Tsiom, which says that actually 73% of Russians support the decision of Vladimir Putin, and only 16% said that they don't agree.
Well, for more Russian perspective on the ongoing crisis, I'm now joined by Andrei Kotunov, the Director General of the Russian International Affairs Council. Mr. Kotunov, thanks for joining us on Euronews tonight. Now, we've been hearing warnings from the West that Russia intends to invade Ukraine imminently. How likely is that?
Well, the honest answer is that we don't know. Nobody knows what Vladimir Putin will decide tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. However, I think that any rational cost efficiency analysis suggests a war is not in Russia's interests. If we assume that decision makers in the Kremlin are rational, they shouldn't do that, because the negative implications of such an action will be grave, will be extremely serious, and potential gains are questionable. It's not clear what Russia can gain if it goes into Ukraine. It cannot possibly occupy the whole country. It cannot install its government in Kiev. And it's not clear what military objectives of such an operations might be. So I think that it is not very likely, and maybe the accumulation of forces along the border is supposed to deter rather than to start an offensive.
Now, you say that Russian objectives don't seem to be clear. Now, President Putin, he says that he's still open to democracy, to diplomacy, but his actions don't seem to really reflect that. Do you think the dialogue could actually de-escalate tensions?
Well, here I would probably disagree with you. I think that it was not the Russian side which canceled the meeting between Secretary Blinken and Minister Lavrov. It was the United States. It is the United States which put on hold potential summit between Presidents Biden and Putin. Again, I can understand the motivations between the U.S. decisions, but it doesn't mean that the Russian leadership is not ready for a dialogue. I think that they would like to have more high-level visitors in Moscow. They would like to have more conversations with Europeans and with Americans. Of course, the question is what is enough to meet the demands of President Putin, and how much the West is supposed to yield to Russia in order to make sure that Russia feels secure and not threatened by the net enlargement. It remains an open question. So far, the Russian position was quite uncompromising.
So what do you think can actually get Putin then to the table to actually have dialogue with the West?
I think that it's not about the dialogue itself. It is about some reassurances that the core demands or complaints, if you wish, that Putin has are likely to be considered seriously. The non-enlargement of NATO is probably the most controversial issue here. I think that some kind of moratorium would probably be good enough to make the Russian leadership change its position. But we don't know. I think that there are still uncertainties about what specifically the West is ready to offer Russia and how much is needed to make Russia, if not happy, at least not that unhappy.